If you're looking at having some landscaping done, or you're planning on landscaping, adding plants to your yard yourself, there's a lot more to planting trees and shrubs than just digging a hole and plunking it into it. Today, I want to walk you through planting, what's involved with planting and why it's important to follow the proper procedures so that your plants are going to thrive for a long time. My name is Dwayne. I'm the owner of Gardeners for Hire. And today it's just a small roto that the client has requested, but we're going to put it in, and I'm going to take the time to show you what you need to do if you are planting the trees, if you are planting yourself, or if you're looking at hiring a company to come in and do some landscaping for you, what you can look for to make sure that these things are being done properly. This is the roto that we're going to be putting into this space here to fill in underneath the lilac and next to this this roto here. The first thing when you're planting your new shrubs is you want to make sure that you're putting it in a place where it's going to have enough room to grow, because right now that it's small, it's very easy to just stick it anywhere and think it's going to be fine. But you have to take into account that over the next few years, this plant is going to reach 6 foot tall and 7 foot wide. So to plan this space out, we are going to split the difference, because if it's 7 foot wide, that means it's got 3.5 feet to go this way, 3.5 feet to go this way, and then up. And so through the course of pruning it and shaping it through the next few years, will allow it to fill in this space nicely. The next step that we're going to do is we are going to dig a hole that is twice as wide as that pot. By digging the hole twice as wide, you're replacing the soil back into it. When you put the soil back in around the root ball, that loosened soil is going to be what allows the roots to expand and grow in the coming year. So we've got the hole dug. Didn't take much work. It's twice as wide as the pot. There's the pot. We're gonna put it into the hole and just check our depth. I have a feeling it's gonna be a little bit too deep, so let's put this in. So you see how there's a large gap around where the root ball is going to be once we take it out of the pot. And that loosened soil that we've dug out is going to be what helps the roots from the roto spread out to where it needs to be. But you see, we are definitely too deep on that hole. Okay, so we're gonna lift this out and we'll backfill a little bit to put it back in. So we're just gonna take a couple of scoops of soil and put this back into the hole to lift that root ball up. So that is more like it, because if we remove the debris off the top of this plant, you'll see that the root ball is actually, the top of the soil is here. And that is going to match up with the planting. So at this point, we'll lift this out. This to help you get your plants out, just spank it a little bit, loosen that soil, because if it's a root bound pot, this will help to loosen the roots away from the edge, and then we just push it. Lift it here, and now we just tap it out. Now, this is the next thing to be aware of. So, this area here is what's called the root crown. This is where the roots turn into the branches. It is extremely important that when you're burying your plants, that the soil level matches the crown. Because if you bury this root ball too deep, and then you pile your soil back up so it covers any of this, the likelihood of this plant surviving is slim to none. And over the course of a year, this plant will become sickly and struggle and not get, and it won't live. So there are contractors out there that they just think you dig a hole and you plunk it in and you bury it. And now the next issue is that we have a mat of roots that have been growing along the side of that pot. If we plant this in exactly like this, what's going to happen is these roots are still going to travel and be bound, and they're still going to want to grow in the direction that they are already growing in. And if we don't do anything about this, if those roots keep following the circle, the pattern that they're already growing in, they will strangle out this root ball. And that is another step that is very important, because if this doesn't get addressed, then this plant will struggle. It will get strangled out in the next few years anyways, and the roots will bind up on itself. A lot of times you can just take and loosen these, but this has been grown in a pot for so long that this root system is so dense. So we're going to take a tool to loosen these up and get them shooting out in the direction we need to. This mat of roots right here, these are the most active roots. You can see how they're little fine and detailed, little fine hairs. Those are the ones that are the most active, that do the work of the plant. Everything else is just facilitating this work into the plant. So we want to loosen these up and get them to open up some, so that they can then grow out under the drip line, which is the outer edge of the plant, and that's where all the water flows down to the ground. And these roots need to be under that for it to be the most effective. So because it's coming out of a pot, we need to encourage that to expand and grow outside of the pot structure that it's been living its life in. Now it's time to decide the placement of this plant, because it's not exactly symmetric. It's kind of, you can see flat, more flat on this side, and on this side it's a little more wide. So what we want to do is spin this around until we find that placement that is going to look the best for this plant. And I think that side is going to be here. Now you can see here is the crown of the root, where the roots turn into the tree. This is the level that it's growing at, and it's going to match up and match the level of the soil. So now it's as easy as just backfilling this in. You gotta pack this down a little bit so that any of the air pockets that were in there are now making full contact with the roots. There's no air pockets left. And now we can just smooth this out. Build this area up here. And there is the rhoda that's planted. Because we have the crown of the root ball at the same height of the soil, this is done properly. Now, if you're having a landscaper, another contractor come in and do this as part of a bigger project, and their finishing move is to install a aged compost mulch top dressing, then what you would want to make sure after they have gone and done their job is go out to the plant and just scrape down until you reach this root ball crown. And you can tell where it is because it's kind of a mat, whereas this is soft. So if you came out and started rubbing your fingers, you would feel that this is the root ball. And so let's just pretend that that is what they do with the aged compost mulch. You can come back and just, it doesn't even have to be back far. It just has to be enough that it's not up against the crown. Because anything that's deeper than that is going to kill your bushes and your trees and your shrubs. And that's how you plant a tree.